I'm Emily, and I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Lorenzo, and I'm a level 2 chef.
I'm Barry from the Institute of Culinary Education, and I've been a professional chef for 16 years.
I guess mashed potatoes remind me of home a little bit. I think we ate a lot of potatoes growing up. I mean, along with other things, not just potatoes.
I make mashed potatoes at least once a week because it's just an easy starch to have with a meal.
Mashed potatoes are one of my all-time favorite sides, and I'm going to be taking them to the next level by smoking them with hay.
Let's start with our potatoes. These are thin-skinned baby potatoes.
Yukon Gold potatoes, because it is the creamiest for a mashed potato.
So firstly, I'm going to take my Lorraine potatoes and I'm going to peel these. You can leave the skins on.
But if I want a creamy mashed potato, which I'm doing here, I'm going to take the peel off.
Once you've scrubbed them, you don't have to peel them, so I'm going to just chop them up to make them cook faster, because if you do them whole, it can take a long time.
I like these potatoes because they are rich, decadent, and creamy.
You can tell that when it cooks down, it's just going to be just silk.
Small potatoes are nice because they cook faster, and also they still taste great. I mean, you're not really losing anything taste-wise, so why not? Gonna get rid of that thing. Don't know what that is.
I cut it kind of all the same kind of size. This ensures cooking doneness.
And I'm just gonna get the water started because I want to bring it up to a boil.
So now I'm going to add my potatoes to cold water.
It's not heated whatsoever.
If we place them into hot water and began cooking them, they end up being mushy on the outside and raw in the center, and the texture will be poor.
All right, my water is boiling, so I'm gonna add my potatoes.
I'm going to season with salt, and it's very important now to add enough salt at this stage. If we don't add enough salt now, we're going to have to compensate for that at the end, and we'll end up with a salty mashed potato.
Let's get these boiling.
And let it boil for about 15 minutes.
Contrary to popular belief, you never want to boil a potato. Cooking them at a simmer allows them to cook through very evenly.
These have been boiling for about 25 minutes, fork tender.
So now my potatoes have been simmering for about 10 minutes. They're fully cooked, and I'm going to go ahead and strain them.
All right, potatoes are all drained.
And now I'm going to the next step, which is ricing them to make them super smooth.
I use the potato masher just because it's what I have. I'm sure there are fancy devices you could use, but I do not know what they are.
So this little gadget, this is called a ricer. Look at that, it's raining yumminess. I mean, hello.
Using a ricer, you tend to get more force into the potatoes, and you can run the risk of making them gluey. I'm going to pass my potatoes through a tammy to give myself a super fine texture. I'm using a bowl scraper. This has a large surface area that you can just carefully push the potatoes through.
I'm just trying to, at this point, break down all of the potatoes so you don't have big chunks in here. The masher is great also because you don't have to go to the gym because of the bicep workout. Well, just on the one side, I guess.
All right, last bit. They smell good. Honestly, I would just eat it like this. Give me some salt and butter. Forget it. Forget about it.
So now you can see my potatoes have a super fine, smooth texture.
All right, they're all rice, and I'm actually gonna leave it in this pot and let it rest for a little while, just to dry it out a little bit more. If you don't dry these out, you'll end up with pasty mashed potatoes. I mean, you're not making toothpaste.
Next, I'm going to add a unique flavor to my potatoes by smoking them with hay. So I'm going to add my potatoes to a sizzle platter. Then I'm going to place this container, which has hay in the bottom, on top of a heating pan. So I have procured this hay from a specialist food supplier. So if you're trying this at home, please don't run to your nearest field for this. You might not get the flavor profile that you're looking for. So now that the hay is smoking, I'm going to add my potatoes and leave to smoke for about 5 minutes. By using hay at this point, I'm going to add a supple and grassy note to the mashed potatoes. Now the potatoes have been in for around 5 minutes. My potatoes are fully smoked. Next, I'm going to be making some cultured butter. So here we have some live yogurt, heavy cream, and whisk this together until smooth. And we are going to leave this to culture at room temperature for 36 hours. So now this has been culturing for 36 hours, we're going to add our cultured cream mixture to the KitchenAid, and I'm going to begin to whip the cream until the butter fat and the buttermilk is separated. Now we're going to take our butter solids and we're going to place into an ice bath to remove all of the buttermilk. I'm going to form it into a roll so we can keep it into the fridge until we need it.
So while my potatoes are drying, I'm gonna prep my cream sauce. A little bit of olive oil. I have my couple tablespoons of garlic. Now I'm gonna add my 2 tabs of butter. Oh.
I like a lot of butter. All right, I'm gonna throw my milk in also. Shoobity-wop.
I'm gonna add the masa. This will help infuse a little Southwest flavor into my mashed potatoes. It'll also help thicken my mashed potatoes if I go too far and I add too much stuff. So now,
Heavy cream. And the heavy cream is going to add some richness to the potatoes and loosen them up a little bit.
I am going to strain the cream into the potatoes. Another fun part, dabs and dabs of
Butter now. And we're going to stir this in gently. This will add a rich flavor and slightly sour notes from our culture.
Oh my God. The potatoes are being infused with that butter. Who doesn't like butter? Hello.
Now the butter is incorporated, I'm going to turn down the heat and add our creme fraiche. This creme fraiche will add a tangy note to the potatoes.
Now let's do a little bit of salt. Just taste it as you go.
So that's actually already got a pretty good salt content. I'm going to give it just like a little bit more. I say salt content like I know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to add some smoked maldon salt. This is a salt from England and it has a smoky flavor to it, and this will go perfectly with the smoked potatoes. I'm going to add cherry pepper. This is a large peppercorn from India. Allowing the peppercorn to grow large means that we can get a full aroma without that punch that will take over the flavor from the potatoes. And the final thing we're going to do is add our chives. So I have my piping bag here, and I'm just going to fill with the potato mixture. And you can see how creamy and rich these potatoes are.
No serving of mashed potatoes would be complete without gravy.
This is gravy packet. I'm actually reading the packet just quickly to make sure that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to put my beautiful gravy packet into here, and now I'm going to just whisk the water in. It's a pretty advanced recipe. Don't try this at home.
This is rendered baking fat, you guys. I am going to bloom these red pepper flakes, onions, celery, and carrots.
Instead of a gravy, I'm actually going to be covering my mashed potatoes in a chicken and truffle sauce. The first thing I'm going to do is season my chicken wings. And now I'm going to heat my pan, and I want this super hot and smoky. I'm going to add some grapeseed oil. I'm choosing an oil with a high smoking point and a neutral flavor for this. In go my chicken wings. And I want these to be caramelized and brown.
So I use a gravy packet just because it's basically got the flavor of gravy, but you don't have to make a whole turkey to get it.
Now my chicken wings have nicely browned. I'm going to remove the chicken and put to one side, and I'm going to strain my pan of any excess grease.
Let's add some salt. Let's add some
Extra
pepper.
Shallots, half the head of garlic, some peppercorns, and some
Thyme, sage, and the odd flavor, marjoram. I know most people don't ever use that, but it's really, really delicious.
Try and get some of these clumpy bits unclumpified.
Butter. I use a lot of butter. So my flour is the same amount of butter. The flour is going to be used to thicken this.
So now my aromatics have sauteed and sweated down. I'm going to add some Madeira wine. This is a dry wine. It has caramel and orange notes to it. And now we're just going to gently scrape the bottom of the pan, releasing all of that delicious chicken flavor. And I'm going to reduce this Madeira down by about 3/4. In goes the chicken stock.
Broth. We're getting all the yummy bits from the bottom.
And now I'm going to add back our roasted chicken wings. And we're going to reduce this mixture down to a coating sauce consistency. Here I have some black truffle. This is going to give a luxurious flavor to the sauce at the end. Now my sauce is reduced and all of the flavor has combined. Now I'm going to strain it.
Please do not throw away any of this that I'm straining. Bake it in the oven with some butter and some more chicken broth, and you will have yourself some incredible stuffing.
Now I'm going to add a little bit of cold butter. Now I'm going to add a pinch of salt. Now the final component is the diced black truffle. We're going to allow this to steep for a minute.
All right, this is looking good. It's thickened up a little bit, and I think it's ready to go.
Okay, let's plate.
So I'm just gonna do a nice big scoop of potatoes.
Looks like a nice portion right there, I have to say.
So I have my potatoes in the piping bag. I just pipe right down the center of the plate, like so.
I'm gonna add my gravy.
Now I'm going to add my chicken and truffle sauce.
And I'm just gonna sprinkle a little parsley on top. Ta-da.
Let's go for the cheddar cheese. Let's add the dab of butter. And now my chives and my bacon. Do I need to explain why you need to have bacon? It's bacon. I just love bacon. And last but not least, ground black pepper.
And here are my mashed potatoes.
And these are my mashed potatoes.
And here are my mashed potatoes.
These look absolutely delicious. I cannot wait to dig in, you guys.
Yeah.
It's really good. The tangy potatoes, along with the aromatic truffle sauce, is fantastic together.
To me, this is a Sunday dinner on a plate.
I love that. The gravy is really good.
Let's take a look at how our 3 chefs handled making mashed potatoes. There are 2 main categories of potatoes, mealy and waxy. Mealy ones have more starch in their cells, and when heated, the starches swell and stay separate, resulting in a nice, fluffy texture. In waxy varieties, the cells tend to stick together for a more dense result. Emily used new potatoes, which means they were harvested when they were young.
These are thin-skinned baby potatoes.
They have a higher water content and a slightly waxy texture that makes them good for roasting and holding their shape. Emily left the skin on, which will add a bit of texture to the final dish.
I like the skins, I don't mind them.
The skin also contains phenolic compounds, some of which increase the nutritional quality of the potatoes. Lorenzo used Yukon Gold potatoes, which are slightly waxy and get their buttery color from naturally occurring carotenoid pigments.
It is the creamiest for a mashed potato.
Barry used a specialty type of fingerling potato called rat, which is from France. They're more on the mealy side, so their cells stay separated after cooking, which means you can coat each cell with lots of butter. Each chef used a different method of mashing. Emily used a hand masher.
I use the potato masher just because it's what I have.
This is simple and fine, but doesn't coax as much starch out of her potato cells as other methods do. The more starch that is coaxed out, the more that can be coated in butter or other fats to make a creamier dish. Lorenzo extruded his potatoes through a ricer. This process added small amounts of air to them, resulting in smooth, slightly fluffy mashed potatoes. Barry used a special piece of equipment called a tammy. Its flatness provided more surface area for extruding the starch out of the soft, boiled potatoes and aided in promoting fluffiness. Emily added butter and heavy cream to flavor her potatoes.
I like a lot of butter.
The butter she used was unsalted, which allowed her to control the saltiness of the final product.
Shoobity-wap.
The heavy cream added a smooth opacity. Lorenzo made a cream sauce flavored with garlic and thickened with the corn-based starch masa. However, potatoes are already inherently starchy, so the masa's thickening properties are only really beneficial if your mashed potatoes are runny.
Whoops!
Lorenzo's Yukon Gold potatoes are a combination of mealy and waxy, so they can withstand the massive amounts of butter he added.
I use a lot of butter.
The butter coats the individual potato cells and adds a ton of flavor and decadence. Barry used fermentation to add a tangy quality to his potatoes. Mixing live cultures from yogurt with heavy cream and storing at room temperature for 36 hours allowed lactic acid bacterial cultures to grow. This lowers the pH, which is where the tang comes from, and thickens the heavy cream by destabilizing the proteins. All of these things helped to make his potatoes silky, smooth, and creamy. He also smoked his potatoes by igniting hay, giving them an earthy, musty flavor. Each of the chefs made a gravy, which is essentially hot liquid thickened with a roux that's equal parts fat and starch. The roux thickens by a process called gelatinization. In this process, heat is added, hydrogen bonds within the starch molecules are broken, and water is absorbed. Emily's gravy is a processed and convenient product.
Gravy packet?
It includes dry, pre-gelatinized starch in the form of powder, seasonings, and coloring. Products like these are salty and work well if you're nervous about making a lumpy gravy.
This is very clumpy, but I'm level 1. It's okay if it looks terrible.
Lorenzo used aromatic vegetables and spices to make his gravy.
Really delish.
He also used chicken stock, which lightened its color, and rendered bacon fat with all-purpose flour to make the roux and thicken it.
Oh my gosh.
Any fat and starch together will thicken a liquid, although you don't want to add cold flour directly to a hot broth. The outside of the flour particles will gelatinize and form a membrane around the dry, starchy interiors, forming lumps. Barry made a chicken-based gravy by sautéing chicken wings at a high temperature in neutral grapeseed oil. Barry's flavorings included a sweet fortified wine from Portugal called Madeira, which added residual sweetness to his potatoes.
That's perfect.
Emily made her mashed potatoes as a side dish. Her green sprinkling of parsley is visually appealing and added a fresh quality. For his toppings, Lorenzo used chives and added more butter and black pepper. He also added bacon and cheddar cheese. The cheese added additional layers of fat and saltiness with sharp, pungent notes to balance the salt from the bacon.
Yum.
Barry has complex and complicated mashed potatoes. So his simple topping of chives is a refreshing, visually appealing note, adding a slight oniony flavor without changing the chemistry of his dish.
These flavors are a perfect marriage together.
Mashed potatoes seem like they're just a simple part of your meal, but there are plenty of things you can do to kick them up a notch.